Number one, let me just acknowledge the people who are standing with me here today. Councilmember Amanda Edwards, Councilmember Jack Christie, thank you all. Certainly want to acknowledge Tom McCaslin, who's providing leadership for this particular shelter at George R. Brown. Tom is also the Director of Housing and Community Development. Dr. Purse, our medical, what do I call you? Medical Director, Dr. Purse. Robert Jackson, who's here with Houston First. And David Brady, who's with the Red Cross, okay? Let me just start off, number one, by thanking Houston First, the George R. Brown, for opening this facility as a shelter. I would tell you, when we started off, we thought that the demand would only be about 1,000. By the end of the day, I think we will be at 5,000 that will be here in the shelter. But I also want to make note that this is just one. The M.O. Campbell Center in Northeast Houston, initially we thought with the need would probably be no more than 500, but that at the M.O. Campbell, we've expanded the need there, and there are about 2,000 individuals at M.O. Campbell. We're now in the process of looking for another shelter, a major shelter. There are a number of smaller community-based shelters, but as you can see, the need is tremendous, and I cannot say enough for Houstonians for stepping up and volunteering their time. We asked for volunteers, and we have gotten volunteers. We asked for people in the medical field, and we've gotten a number of volunteers from the medical field. I will say to you, now we just need to count to what's the word that I'm looking for? We've got a number of volunteers. We have to stage them in certain times because we have a 24-hour operation. And so I'm going to ask people who would like to volunteer to go and sign up at redcross.org, redcross.org, because we're needing people throughout the entire 24-hour period. I also want to thank Houstonians for just being so gracious in donating the clothes, all of the clothing items. Cannot say enough for them. And then let me put in a little side note, because I got a few comments from some of the individuals, and they said, Mayor, we certainly appreciate all the clothes, but some of us are maybe a little, a little bigger than others, and so so please bear in mind, for volunteers, we are needing clothing for all sizes. For all sizes, that would be very much appreciated. But I cannot say enough for the volunteers and all of the people who are here. And look, let me just, no one would be here if they didn't have to be here. So we want to treat them in a very dignified way. But for the grace of God, any one of us could be here. But this is one of those times when Houston comes together, bands together, supportive of one another, and then help them to transition back into a normal routine as soon as possible. So this is just step one. This is just step one, but we want to continue to assist. I want to thank everyone who's been volunteering. Now first, let me call on Tom McCaslin, because he can address some of the concerns, some of the needs from his perspective. Tom?
Thank you. As the mayor said, we were at at zero just over 24 hours ago. We are now approaching 4,500 in terms of people on site here seeking shelter. We are fully staffed, ready to go, and volunteers are on site. So the thing that we could continue to use more of is wheelchairs. If people know where to get some wheelchairs, we could use wheelchairs here on site. Otherwise, we're pretty good. Happy to answer any questions later if necessary.
Thank you. Dr. Purse.
Thank you, Mayor. This isn't our first time setting up medical infrastructure at a large shelter, and they're always very dynamic, and we've had some really tremendous support from folks in the community coming. I want to so much thank the doctors and nurses that have been here today. We are now getting a little bit more formal structure to our infrastructure, and expecting more assets to come as we get a more formal setup here. But really, the doctors and nurses who are here this morning and are still here today, I just want to thank them so much. But as the mayor said, we need to coordinate how volunteers come in and make sure that that is a more even distribution over the 24 hours. And this isn't going to be over by tomorrow either, right? So this may go on for, we don't know how many days, but we need to spread that out. So AmericanRedCross.org. Thank you.
And let me just say, this is a total team effort. People are coming, and we take all who come. And there are a number of people who are coming needing medicine, and so we are setting up pharmaceutical services that are here. There are people who are coming who are needing doctors, and we have doctors that are attending to their care. There are some who've come from their homes, and for example, they may need dialysis. And so we are working to provide them transportation so that they can continue their dialysis treatment. And then there are some, even kids, who came and they are in need of hospital stay and just walked around. I want to thank Dr. Purse for getting on the phone. You may have seen this young lady leaving a few minutes ago, heading now to the hospital so she could get the care that she needs. So this is a total care operation. And I want to thank all the first responders for helping out, police, fire, volunteers, you name it. This is a total team effort. Now let me call on James Koski from his perspective. James is Deputy Mayor to the city.
Thank you, Mayor. Just been trying to organize a lot of our corporate friends who are willing to help out. Yellow Cab is somebody we've been in touch with, and they're going to assist with rides, helping people from the shelter to others. We're also coordinating with Uber and Lyft and getting them on board. We're looking forward to them helping out. United has talked about sending in some supplies and trying to coordinate that and getting that from Intercontinental down here to GRB.
Thanks. And then I also want to add, these are volunteers. County Judge Ed Emmett and I talked. We are not being territorial. So it doesn't matter where people live, whether they live in the city, whether they live in the county. You go to the shelter that's closest to you, okay? And as a result, we've also talked about our disaster relief fund. We are combining our efforts because we're meeting the needs of people in our region. And so there are some people here who may not live in the city. They may live in Dickerson, or they may live outside of the county. The point is we meet people's point of need wherever it may be. Now let me call on a great partner, someone who's been a great partner prior to the storm taking place. We didn't know how severe the storm would be. And so Red Cross stepped in and partnered with us ahead of time in pre-staffing a couple of shelters, and then and continue to be right here providing staffing, food supplies, and you name it. I cannot say enough for the Red Cross. I'm very, very appreciative to them. David Brady from the Red Cross.
Thank you, Mayor Turner, and I want to reiterate what Mayor Turner said about the partnership between the City of Houston and the Red Cross, and also echo his comments about the great partnership that we also have with the county and Judge Emmett. This is a point where Houstonians and Texans all come together no matter what we're doing and help each other. I want to thank specifically the Red Cross staff and volunteers who have been working tirelessly for almost a week now, preparing for this storm and reacting to this storm. And I want to then reiterate what the mayor said about volunteering. We are so grateful and so blessed to have so many great volunteers who have stepped up. We really want to encourage everyone who's interested in volunteering to go to our website, redcross.org. This allows us to get you into the system and registered and find the shelter that's closest to you so you can help your closest neighbors in the safest way for both you and them. So again, we really want to focus on everyone going to redcross.org. It has been overwhelmed with people trying to volunteer. So if you run into some challenges in getting on, be patient. It will be online. So thank you again for all the support with volunteers. We look forward to continued partnership, Mayor.
Thank you, Dave. And then, of course, George R. Brown. As someone said earlier today, they wish they had a George R. Brown where they are. This place has been the host for conventions and conferences and sporting events all over the country, quite frankly, all over the world. But let me tell you, as the mayor of the city of Houston, there's no better moment to shine for the George R. Brown to shine than to be the host and the venue for Houstonians at their moment of need. And I am more thrilled about George R. Brown opening their doors to host Houstonians in their moment of need than any convention or conference or sporting event that may have come to Houston. Robert Jackson is with the Houston First, and then and then I'll introduce another person right after him. Robert.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. As the mayor said, George R. Brown typically hosts conventions, meetings, conferences, but when disaster strikes, Houstonians step up, and that's what we are happy to do in partnership with the city. We've been overwhelmed by the level of donations and volunteers that have shown up. We're just proud to do our part to help our fellow citizens get through this tough time. Thank you.
And George R. Brown is overseen by Houston First, and one of the board members is here, Sophia Entreguet is here. I'm gonna ask Sophia to come up, say a few words, and also, if you don't mind, to kind of translate some of what we've said in Spanish. I would do it, but I'm a little hoarse. So, you know, my Spanish, you know, I told Sophia, I would let her do the speaking in Spanish. Sophia.
Buenas tardes, muchísimas gracias. Me llamo Sofía Drogué. Soy voluntaria como todos ustedes. Les felicito con todo lo que ha hecho Houston. Obviamente somos una ciudad con Mayor Turner, como nuestro líder, que hacemos todo lo posible por los demás. Primer punto, él quería decir muchísimas gracias a todos los voluntarios que han venido, que por favor, si quieren hacer algo de caridad, pero por favor vayan a registrarse al American Red Cross. Le voy a repetir de vuelta un momento el website. redcross.org. 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 Se necesita ayuda. No necesariamente tienen que venir hasta acá. Este lugar es downtown, pero hay otros lugares por todo Houston. Houston está trabajando directamente con Harris County, con County Judge Ed Emmett, y están todos juntos coordinando. Entonces, si hay necesidad, aunque no vivís en Harris County, no tenés que solamente venir hasta acá, podés ir ahí sin ningún problema y le van a ayudar. Ya ahora tenemos acá más o menos 4.500 personas, pensamos que van a llegar a 5.000. La gente de Houston ha sido muy eficaz ayudando con ropa, otras cosas. Una cosa que se necesita es ropa de todos tamaños. Algunos somos más chicos, todos más grandes, pero realmente necesitamos ropa de todos tamaños, que aceptamos también. Y también se necesita la ayuda 24 horas al día. No es solamente en algún momento específicamente. Entonces, por favor, si se quieren ser voluntarios, han entrando muchas cosas. Se están entrando comida, se están entrando ropa, se están entrando frazadas. También si hay necesidad de cosas para gente que necesita, ponemos caminando. Si tienes sillas de ruedas, wheelchairs, sillas de ruedas, también eso se necesita. Pero más que nada, es un orgullo muy grande para el mayor que esta eficaz de George R. Brown Convention Center, que muchas veces acepta gente de cosas positivas en momentos de necesidad de la comunidad, está abierto por todo lo que ha hecho Houston First, específicamente Robert Jackson, Officer Robert Jackson, que están acá. Como les repito, yo solamente soy voluntaria, estoy en la mesa directiva de Houston First. Con gusto, si puedo tratar de responder algo en castellano, a lo mínimo le hago preguntas a él y hacemos así. Pero muchísimas gracias.
And one last thing, let me just say this. This was an unprecedented and historic storm, and there are a lot of Houstonians that are facing some tremendous needs and concerns. I don't care what your language is. I don't care what your nationality is. Don't care what your socioeconomic background is. If you are in need of services, please reach out to the city of Houston. Please do not come if you find yourself in a home that's saturated with water or filled with water. Please don't stay away because you're concerned about people being concerned about your immigration status. This is not the point. This is not the time. If you've got a need, let's make sure that we address that. And Sophia, if you would emphasize that, I would appreciate it. Yes.
Okay. Primer punto, esto es algo que nadie pensó que iba a pasar. Entonces, obviamente, es muy importante para Mayor Turner que está todo abierto para todos. No importa si sos hispano, si sos asiático, de dónde sos, estamos aceptándonos a todos, no importa tu nivel económico y social. Y otra cosa que esto es muy importante, esto es importante para que todos los inmigrantes también se sientan que hay ayuda y se va a aceptar a todos. No importa tu estatus de migración, si hay una necesidad, nos vamos a ayudar. Y si no puedes llegar hasta acá, no llegues hasta acá. Anda a tratar de ir a otro lugar que está, porque hay varios de estos por toda la ciudad de Houston. Esto es muy importante para Mayor Turner y también el City Council Member, que están acá todos trabajando fuerte y duro para la comunidad. Gracias.
Para las personas que tal vez no saben cómo buscarnos, no sé dónde está uno más cercano a mí, quizás cómo pueden buscarnos.
Muchísimas gracias. He wants to know, for those that don't even know where the shelters are, where do they start that?
Well, the major shelter is George R. Brown. The second shelter is the M.O. Campbell Center. And of course, they can contact through the Red Cross, redcross.org.
La principal es de acá, después está otra en Campbell. ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Es M.L. Campbell?
M.O. Campbell.
M.L. Campbell.
M.O.
M.O. Campbell.
Yeah.
Y si no, más importante, me parece lo mejor, es ir al website del American Red Cross. You mean in the American Red Cross website, it is on there, the information? Okay. En the redcross.org, la información está ahí. Pero por ahí lo que ustedes pueden hacer es ponerlo todo en la televisión, ¿no? Muchas gracias.
And there are other shelters that are closer to people's neighborhoods, like Denver Harbor. There are some other shelters that have been set up as well, and you can find that if you go to HoustonEmergency.org as well, HoustonEmergency.org for a list of all the shelters that exist.
Mayor, can you speak to the addicts in Barker reservoirs and why people weren't notified sooner than last night that they might need to be released and eventually were released?
Okay, this is in reference to water being released from the addicts Barker Reservoir. The reality is that they've been monitoring the water level, and of course we've had some unprecedented amount of water, and they were concerned that the water level was building up, that it would jeopardize the integrity of the dam, and if at a certain point, if you don't release the water, then the water will go around the dam, the reservoir, and in this case, more concerned about addicts, that the water would go around, and it would be much more catastrophic if you don't do a gradual release. And so what they have done is that they've done a gradual release, about 5,000 cubic per second, and what they have noticed is that it has not increased the flooding levels down below. And so it's a gradual increase, but if you don't do it, then you run the risk of the integrity of the dam being compromised, and it could be a far worse situation.
But in terms of people sort of near Buffalo Bayou that potentially were being affected, you know, given the way the rain was going and the way that people can project how the dams are filling up, why not notify people earlier in the day when there's daylight and maybe people could have left sooner?
I can't speak to that. Those are decisions that are being made by the Harris County Flood Control District and those entities. I can only tell you I spoke to them this morning myself, to get a better understanding of how much water would be released and what the impact would be on neighborhoods along Buffalo Bayou down below. And what they have assured me is that it is a gradual release of water. They started off with the two at about 5,000 cubic feet per second. It will go, they were scheduled to go up to about 8,000 up until noontime. I talked to them on my way here this afternoon, and what they have noticed is that even the water level behind the dam has started to subside a little bit, which is good, that's a plus. And they've also noticed that the water level down below has not significantly increased. It's been holding steady, and that's good. So, so hopefully it's the balancing of interest. Bear in mind, we're dealing with a dynamic situation. This has been an unprecedented storm, a lot of rain falling in the entire region, not just the city of Houston, but in the entire region. And so we're going to have to balance interests so that we don't have any more homes flooding, whether upstream or downstream.
Mayor, what about the 10,000 plus evacuees? You know, where are they supposed to be housed, and for how long, considering their homes need repair from the floods?
You're talking about the people that are in shelters?
The people that haven't gone to shelters yet, but maybe going to shelters. You know, more than 10,000 people who are leaving their homes because of floods. what's the long-term plan for them? Where can they go, and how long will they be able to get help?
Well, one thing we know about, let me speak to those who are in shelters now. People in shelters now because they have to be, not necessarily because they want to be. And no one wants to stay in a shelter for an inordinate period of time. And that's why FEMA is the most important entity in this whole discussion. And they will be on the ground. Some have already arrived, others will have to come to assess each family, each individual's situation, and to come up with a plan to transition them back into a normal routine. The City of Houston, we're going to do everything we can to assist people. The first thing was get them out of a flooding home or flooding apartment. Get them off the roof, get them out the attic, get them out of the home. That was number one. So today, the focus is on rescue. What I've told my entire team, there are people in homes, people in apartments. Let's get them out of that situation. Let's rescue them. That's step number one. Step number two, normalize, stabilize their status. Okay? That's what we're working to do right now. Okay? Step number three is to work on a transition plan to, as quickly as possible, transition them from the shelter back into their neighborhoods or back into temporary or permanent housing. And that's going to require the support of all of our partners. FEMA, federal government, the state, the local government. Tom McCaslin is over my housing and community development. And the goal is to transition people out. As nice as the George R. Brown is, it is not home. Okay? And so we will continue to work on a plan to transition them away. But today, it's about getting people rescued and getting them out of the elements.
Mr. Mayor,
And,
today
yeah.
you say it's about rescue.
Yes.
Yesterday you said no regrets, not evacuating sooner, but the anniversary of Katrina is coming up tomorrow. One of the best lessons learned there was people should have been evacuated sooner. You didn't do that. You made the call not to. And now you have a situation where you're overflowing almost a George R. Brown, where you're nearing capacity. You said the maximum number is 5,000, and you're getting close to that number now. Should you have evacuated sooner, and why didn't you?
Absolutely, because I was not going to put 6.5 million people's lives at risk by being on the road, not knowing where they were going, not knowing where the storm was going. If 6.5 million people had gotten on our roads without a plan, what happened the last time when people evacuated from the city of Houston? About 100 people lost their lives. People were on the freeway 10 to 12 hours heading to Austin, running out of gas. It was chaotic. It was confusing. Both the county judge and I sat down together and decided that we were not in the direct path of the storm, of the hurricane, and the safest thing to do were for people to stay put, make the necessary preparations. I have no doubt that the decision we made was the right decision. Because what can you imagine if millions of people had left the city of Houston and then tried to come back in right now when the roads are impassable? When people left, they did not go to stay. If people had evacuated, they would have evacuated for a short time, and then they would be trying to get back into the city of Houston. One thing I know, people are here. The services to meet the needs of people, the services are here. The George R. Brown is here. Their homes are here. The medical care, here. The Red Cross is here. Pharmaceutical services are here. And I am the mayor of the city of Houston, and I can work to meet their needs. The county judge is here. You put millions of people on the road, and they are running into a storm. If they had gone to San Antonio, they would have been going into the rain. If they had gone to Austin, it was raining in Austin. The best place for Houstonians and people in Harris County was right here in Houston and Harris County. I have no question about that. I feel firm in my decision on that. No regrets at all. Absolutely none. Yes.
Sorry if you already covered this. Can you tell me how many people we have at GRB and kind of summarize what I'm
In total, that are in all of the shelters that we have together, there are about 8,000 people. I would say about 8,000.
And what's being offered here at the George R. Brown?
In the George R. Brown, they're being offered food, sleeping equipment, clothing, medical services, pretty much as many of the things that we can offer to meet their holistic needs as we seek to transition them to a better place.
If more people need immediate shelter, do they just come here or should they call the Red Cross first?
If people's homes are flooded and they find themselves in a situation where they cannot remain in their home or their apartment, then they need to reach out to us. Okay?
Enough medical employees or people to serve mental health issues as well as physical?
I think we can all, we do have, you want to just, and bear in mind, it's not just the George R. Brown, it's the M.O. Campbell as well. So the same needs that exist here also exist at M.O. Campbell and all of our other facilities.
In terms of medical personnel, we have enough here at the George R. Brown, so if you are providing general medical services, we would probably direct you to M.O. Campbell. What we do need, if you have experience with as a social service worker working with mental health patients, that's something that we could use more of here at the George R. Brown. I'm sure we could use more of that at the M.O. Campbell as well, if that's an easier location for you to get to.
Okay. One more question. I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Are tolls still active and charging cars throughout the road?
No, not that I'm aware.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, yes. And this last question, and I'm, yes.
Are any of the hospitals in jeopardy to be evacuated?
I've heard some things in reference to the hospitals in terms of they're having a difficulty maybe with doctors coming in, things of that nature, but I'm not directly.
Are search and rescue still going on currently?
Search and rescue, that's the number one emphasis, the number one priority for the rest of the day. That's the primary focus. We are looking for an additional shelter as well. We want to kind of keep this population at about 5,000 and no more. Okay?
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.